Dear students, welcome to a new chapter by name Basic Concept of OOP. OOP means Object Oriented Programming. In your first PUC, little bit things we have discussed regarding Object Oriented Programming. So today, now we are going to discuss few more things regarding Object Oriented Programming, that is basically called as OOPs. So what actually object oriented programming means, in which are the fields these object oriented programmings are used, and which are the types of object oriented programming, and which programming languages can be called as OOP programming, that is object oriented programming. So regarding these things and regarding the characteristics of object oriented programming, applications and features, all these things we are going to discuss in this chapter. So we shall start with first the definition of object oriented programming. What actually means the object oriented programming? That is OOP, object oriented programming. Object oriented programming. Okay. You may expand OOPs as object oriented programming, but how will you define this OOP? So look here, an object oriented programming, that is an OOP, is a principle. It is a principle and development of program using modular approach. Using modular approach. Okay, it is a principle and development. Sorry, it is a principle of design. It is a principle of design and development. And development of development. Okay, it means you have worked with OOPs. That is, in your first PUC, you have solved and you have executed the C++ programs. And in your second PUC, in the month of May, in your practical classes, you have written some data structure programs, which are include classes. Under class, private access specifier is there, public access specifier is there. So these things are called as programs, okay, which you have executed in your first PUC and which you have tried in this year. These are called as programs. To design that program, okay, and for developing that type of program, here object-oriented principles are used. Later you will come to know, then you will understand clearly how a program can be designed or developed using modular approach. Okay, and what is the use of this object-oriented programming? This provides advantages for creating software applications. Okay, which are the things are called as software applications? The things which you will work with in your computer are called as software application. Just like you are using a C++ programming software, it is also a software application. Or you are working with HTML, that is Notepad, it is also a software application. And if you work with Microsoft Office, that is Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and many other things, those things are called as software applications. Now we shall say which languages are called as, or which programming languages are called as object oriented programming. Okay, example for object oriented programming are, example, object oriented programmings are object oriented programmings are, okay, the first thing which you are using, that is C++. Okay, this is also called as an object oriented program. The next one is Java. It is also called as an object oriented program. The third thing is same like C++ and Java. There is one more programming language that is called as C#. This one is also called as object oriented programming, and many more, etc. Like this, many other programs are also there. They can be called as the object oriented programming. Hope you have understood regarding object oriented programming. Now we shall see which are the characteristics of object oriented programming. Which are the characteristics of object oriented programming? Here, few are the characteristics of object oriented programming. The characteristics of object oriented programming are the characteristics of OOPs are, okay, the first one is objects, and the next one is classes, third one is data abstraction. Next one is data encapsulation. Then inheritance, and then polymorphism, then overloading, then dynamic binding, and then message passing, So these are some of the characteristics of OOPs, that is objects, classes, data abstraction, data encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, overloading, dynamic binding, and message passing. So now we are going to discuss these characteristics one by one in some explanation. With some explanation, we will going to discuss these characteristics of OOPs. If we complete this thing, then after that, applications and features on all these things, your OOPs will going to be completed. So here, these characteristics can be represented by a sketch. So we shall represent it like this. The first thing is encapsulation. Encapsulation. Then polymorphism. Polymorphism. Then basics of OOP. Then inheritance. Then finally abstraction. So basics of OOPs includes all these things. One thing is inheritance, the next thing is encapsulation, then polymorphism, then abstraction. Okay, arrows are connected like this. The characteristics of OOPs, those can be called as basics of OOPs. They can be represented by a sketch like this. Basics of OOPs related to encapsulation, and it is related to abstraction, then related to polymorphism, then related to inheritance. Come, we shall see what are objects and what are classes, and all these characteristics now we are going to discuss in detail. At first, we shall discuss the first thing regarding objects. So, dear students, in your C++ program, in second PUC, we have written some programs, practical programs. Under those programs, you have seen regarding the objects. That is, it includes a class and class name. After that, private access specifier. Under private access specifier, data members are there. And after that, public access specifier. Then under public access specifier, member functions are there. So these things we can call them as objects. So how can we explain? How can we define the object? Come, we shall see. Now we are going to define an object. Objects are basic building blocks. Objects are basic building blocks of designing a program. Okay, if you want to design any program, then objects are must needed because they are the basic building blocks of every program. So objects are needed. Come, we shall see what actually the objects are. An object may represent a person, place, or table of data. Okay, just like in your programs, okay, class student, okay, under class student, you are having a private access specifier. Okay, under private access specifier, you will use the data members like you can take it as char name. Okay, then int register number. Okay, then char or int class. like this. Okay. See, object may represent a person, place, or table, name of a person or a number or the class. So they can be called as the objects. Okay. Later I will explain in detail this thing. Now we shall see what is object actually mean. An object is a collection of an object is a collection of an object is a collection of data members. Data members. Okay. The things which I have written under private access specifier, those things are called as data members. It is a collection of data members. We can call it as an object. And associated member functions. And associated member functions. Okay, later I will write the syntax of the object, then you will come to know what is an object clearly. And each object is identified by each object is identified by a unique name. By a unique name. And every object must be a member of particular class. Must be a member of particular class. So object. Hope while writing itself you have understood. That is, it's a basic building block of a program. So for that thing, object must be there in every program. And an object may represent a person, anything, a person name, or the place, or anything, a table of data. Table of data it may represent. Then an object is a collection of data members. Collection of data members. Data members means under private access specifiers. I have written char, name, int, register number, then int, class. Those things are called as data members. So collection of that type of data members, we can call it as an object, and along with that associated member functions and related member functions to that data members. Okay, then after that each object is identified by a unique name. Every object is having its unique name. Every object must be a member of a particular class. Every object must be a member of a particular class. Come, now I will write a small sketch regarding the object. I will take two examples. One is the object of a student and another one is the object of a teacher or the lecturer. First take object student. Object student. Okay, object student. Then object teacher. Okay, this is object means student. It is an object name. Then here teacher. It is an object name. Now under data members, or they can also be called as member data. Okay, member data. It includes name. Okay, then a register number. Register number. Then also it includes course. Course. Then after that, member functions. So I'll write in some other place so that we can understand clearly. Okay. Hope you have understood these things. Now I will write one sketch. Based on that sketch, I am going to explain you what actually an object is. See, object student. We are taking two objects. Object student. Okay. Then this is one. Then object teacher. Object teacher. Okay. Teacher and students are the object names. After that, member data means the data members itself called as member data. Member data. It includes name of a student, get data. Okay. Why? We will give the parenthesis, open and close parenthesis. Okay. I have shown you like this an object. Member data includes name, register, and course. Okay, created member functions for these data members. Okay, then come to object teacher. It includes here also member data. Member data. Okay, then subject to which course he or she will teach. Then member functions. Get data function, display function. See, member data. So, what is meant by an object? Object is a collection of data members or a group of data members and associated member functions. It is also having group of data members and associated member functions. Okay, dear students, remember one thing: these things, data member and member functions, member functions, and access specifiers. Regarding these things in detail, we will going to discuss in our next chapter, that is classes and objects. Okay, if you understood basic concept of OOP clearly, then it is very helpful for you to understand the next chapter, that is classes and objects here. And regarding these things, one by one in detail, we will be going to discuss in our next chapter. Okay, here member data, that is name programs. If you open those programs, then you will get member data. That is, you come to know. Okay, I will write an example for this. Then you will come to know what actually an object is. Okay, I'll try to write here itself along with these things. Then you will come to know something regarding these data members. Okay, first I'll write for object C. We can take object student as class student. Okay, class student. Then open a brace. After that, member data. Okay, it always present under private access specifier. Under private access specifier, always data members are present. Here it is having name. Okay, we can take it as character type name. Okay, then register number. For register number, we can take it as integer because it includes always a number. So take it as register number. Then for course name, it is having name. So for that, I will take it as char course. Okay, these things are data members. Okay, here also these things are called as data members and member. These things are data members and they are called functions. Okay, then under public, what are things of data members, and also 3 programs I have given and I have made you to write. So by those programs you are familiar and defined like this. Next come after object, we shall this thing. Now we are going to discuss. class. How can we define a class? Is having similar characteristics. Having similar characteristics. Then I'll read point wise. Once a class is defined, any number of objects. Class is a way of grouping objects having similar characteristics. Okay, as I have explained, student, it is having its own characteristics, similar characteristics, not different. Okay, that type of objects are grouped using a class. Okay. Okay, I will take an example. For example, planets. Okay. Okay. Take it as planets, sun, and moon are the objects of class. Hope you have. The class name is a solar system. Just like if a class is defined in any program, okay, any number of objects may be created under that. Classes can be defined as are user-defined data types. Under those types, one is the user-defined data type hold both data and functions. Both, I have shown you, class can hold both data and functions. As I have written, that is class student, then class teacher. And sorry, data members like name, register, and get data and display. Okay, all the syntax I will write. So now I will take as class. Okay, we take class as PUC. Okay, it includes member functions under private access specified. Okay, PUC integer. Okay, number of boys. Okay, then integer number of girls. Okay, then integer total strength. Okay, you know why I am using underscore here? Because the data types will not accept any spaces. So for that thing I am using underscore here. Then under public access specifier, we can write get data, okay, then read data, okay, read data, then display, get data, read data, and display. This is a class. It includes both data and functions. So we can define class like this. Okay, so we have discussed so far objects and classes. Now come the third thing, that is data abstraction. Data abstraction. What is meant by this data abstraction? Data abstraction permits the user, it will give permission to the user, permits the user to use an object without following internal working. Without following internal working. Data abstraction. Abstract means it will give a sketch of a data. Abstract view. Okay, so data might be like this, thinking, that is called as abstraction, an abstract view of a data. It will permit the user to use an object without following internal working. How internally it is working, no need of that. Without following that, an object can be used by the user with the help of data abstraction. Okay, next it says abstraction refers to the process of representing essential features without including background details or explanation. It means here abstraction. What is meant by abstraction? Okay, it's a process of representing essential features. If some features are there in any object or class, so abstraction will represent those features. How it will represent? It will not include, okay, any background details of that class or object or any explanation of that class. Without the help of the background details or the explanation of any class or an object, it will represent that view of a class or object. That is called as abstraction. It will represent the essential features of any class or object without the help of any background detail or the explanation of class and object. That is called as an abstraction. It means a thinking, a view can be given. It is called as abstraction. Then next point. Classes use the concept of abstraction. Classes use the concept of abstraction and are defined as a list of abstract attributes such as abstract attributes such as weight and cost and functions to operate on those attributes. Okay, just like if you take any thing, okay, think that as an abstract. Just like I'm taking a duster. Think this is an abstract. Okay, this is a thing, an object or a class. Okay, then abstract here, it will define a list of abstract attributes. Classes use attributes because they will give a list of attributes of this thing or this abstract. What are the attributes? The weight of this duster and the cost of this duster are the attributes of this duster. Like this, an abstract can be used under a class for giving the attributes of a class or an object. Okay, with the help of the functions which are used to operate those attributes. So abstract can be defined like this. Okay, first of all, abstraction, it will give the user a permission to use an object without any internal working. The next thing here, it's a process of representing the features, essential features of a class or an object. Okay, without taking any background detail of a class or an object or any explanation of class and object. And here, classes use the concept of abstraction and are defined as a list of abstract attributes. Okay, a thing and its attributes are listed under a abstract. If we take a class, okay, its attributes are defined from the abstraction, just like weight or cost of a thing, same as if it is class having data members and data functions, those are the attributes of that class, and that attributes are given with the help of the abstraction, and also with that the functions which are needed to operate the class or operate those attributes along with that function. Abstracts will give the details of a class. So we have understood regarding abstraction. Next come data encapsulation. Fourth thing, that is data encapsulation. Data encapsulation. Okay, data encapsulation. Okay, how a data encapsulation can be defined? Take point wise. The first point here is data encapsulation combines data and function, data and functions, okay, to form a single unit, called class. Okay, data encapsulation combines. What it will do, it will combine both data and functions to form a single unit called class. Okay, with the help of data encapsulation, we can combine the data and functions and they are collectively called as a class. And next point here, data encapsulation will prevent direct access to data. Okay, what prevent direct access to the data? So here, how I am underlining the main points. Okay, if you underline like this in your examination, then it will be more helpful for you. You will get the complete marks if you underline like this. Then the next thing, oh, okay, it will not give direct access to data. Okay, the next thing here is the data is accessed only to the data is accessed only to methods. It is present inside the class. Present inside the class. Okay. See here, data encapsulation will prevent data. It will prevent. How a data can be accessed with the help of data encapsulation, with the help of the functions through the member functions that are present under the class. With the help of functions that are present inside the class. With the help of the functions, the data can be accessed in the class with the help of data encapsulation because it avoids the direct accessing of data. And the next thing here, the data cannot be modified with external non-member function. Okay, it means here under class. Okay, class A. Okay, like this. Here, data cannot be accessed directly. It will be accessed with the help of the member functions which are present here. Okay, member functions. Then data members. Okay, which are present here. And the data cannot be modified. The data cannot be modified with external non-member functions. If any member function is outside of the class, that is called as non-member function of this class, then the data which is in the class will not be modified by that type of external non-member functions. Understood? Okay, then okay, non-member function of a class. Then data encapsulation enables data binding, information hiding. or information hiding. Okay, it will help to hide the information. And data binding. What is data binding? This can be explained in next explanation. Okay, among the characteristics, data binding is there. If I define data binding there, then you will come to know what is data binding. Remember that data binding is here. Okay, data encapsulation enables that data binding and hiding of information. So data encapsulation, a sketch can be given, a smaller sketch can be given, that is data. Okay, then methods. Okay, this can be called as object. This can be called data encapsulation. Okay, data, it will give access to the data only with the help of methods. Methods means here and with the functions. Methods means functions. Okay, data means data members. Methods means member functions. Hope you have understood regarding data encapsulation. Okay. One more thing now we are going to discuss, that is inheritance. What is meant by inheritance? Fifth thing, that is inheritance. Okay, what is meant by inheritance? Now I am going to explain you point wise. In OOP, the concept of inheritance, in OOP, the concept of inheritance provides the idea of reusability. Provides the idea of reusability. Okay, if one class is present and that can be reused again, that is called as reusability. Inheritance will provide, okay, the idea of reusability. It will provide the idea of reusability. Then next point here. This means that we can add, this means that we can add additional features to an existing class without modifying it. Okay, it means reusability means additional features can be added to the class. Okay, we can add additional features, okay, to an existing class without modifying, doing any changes of that class. That is called as reusability here. And the next thing here is Thus, the process of forming a new class from an existing class is known as inheritance. Okay, the process of forming a new class, okay, from an existing class is known as inheritance. Look here, it is a super class. Take one thing as super class, okay, and then from this class two more classes are made, subclass 1, then subclass 2. So this is called as inheritance. So forming a new class from the existing class is known as inheritance. Okay, hope you have understood these things. In our next class, we are going to discuss few more things regarding the characteristics of object-oriented programming. If you have any doubts regarding this class up to this, you can ask me personally. Thank you.